Dun, 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 dun.
It's certainly not the first time I've seen this type of story told, where you have two generations meeting for the first time and each one seems to benefit off of the other in terms of understanding, especially when you're meeting somebody after 100 years of being put down under in a pickle factory. That's a bit unusual for a plot. That's the first I've seen that for a film, but hey, it looked... I mean, again, it's got serious potential. It's definitely not like the Seth Rogen movies I'm familiar with, which I think is to be appreciated. Obviously, the guy, is very talented. And I did think, as I said with the first video, I'm looking at this out of order. I'm looking at this in December of 2021, so obviously I'm very late, and I apologize for that. But maybe it's to my benefit, because I did cover the Santa Inc. trailer, as most people, we all saw that. And I would definitely call it a misstep. I thought it was pretty bad. I think most of us did. And I tend to want to be the person in the room to remember someone for their achievements, rather than for perceived shortcomings. So even if sometimes, hey, I'm not beyond throwing out a snarky comment, but I'd rather remember people again for, the high points and the things that are, I would say, worth remembering. And American Pickle has that potential, I think. It looks like a very well done project. And again, not in line with the Seth Rogen movies that I'm familiar with in terms of being like a raunchy comedy. And I appreciate that, because I'm very much more like a classy guy, and I prefer more modest entertainment. And certainly a lot of his films. I did check out Long Shot, though, to give me a baseline originally of some of his humor, because I like to operate from a credible position. I want to be like, okay, a Seth Rogen movie. I'm obviously not going to watch a whole bunch of them, because they're obviously so inappropriate. What can I watch that maybe is a little tamer? And it was still kind of raunchy in parts, but I thought Long Shot was not the best film. It didn't really stick with me, but Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen, I think, did a good job performance-wise. But this film looks a lot better. It's very different. Again, it's had the indie start to it, which I thought was very interesting, but it still has that Seth Rogen feel of it being a comedic film, with maybe some heart to it as well. Again, you see the two generations, in fact, grandson and grandfather, meeting each other in the same world, but in different times. It's beautiful. It really is. I mean, I was very touched by that first trailer. It looked great. We're going to go ahead and watch the featurette, though, for this and learn a little bit more about what went into the film. That's why I love watching featurettes. They teach you a little more than you can obviously comprehend from what's on screen. I mean, maybe, of course, you can take in a lot from a visual presentation, but if you learn where the artist's heart was at, you get a broader perspective. We're going to go ahead and watch the featurette for this first, and I'll talk about it more in my condensed review segment. Follow us watching the video together. Okay. I would say, since Santa Inc., because of this project, my image of Seth Rogen is a little more repaired. Okay, here we go.
I can't wait to show you, the future.
And HBO Max certainly has some really good projects.
Just a scooter. They're actually pretty fun.
Well, they made it believable.
Because Seth is playing two parts, one of the main things we wanted to do is really...
And they switched it up in post.
Between Herschel,
but we need that stand-in.
And that big shift for us is the fact that Seth has this giant beard as Herschel.
We kind of divided the movie up into two chunks. One is the Herschel chunk.
Did he film all the Herschel stuff first and then do...
Pickle brine preserved him perfectly.
Bob?
And that is the chunk where I play Ben.
Or Ben.
We were able to track down a living relative.
Greenbow. Greenbow. This is nuts.
This is a process that's been done many times in cinematic history, with making one actor seem like two. It's typically done with a split screen, where you shoot the actor on one half, and then you change them and put them on the other half of the frame. For us, the tricky part is that we have to shoot all the parts with a beard first, and then return to all these shots later once he's shaved to put Ben back into these frames.
It's almost entirely...
Well, that actually works, because I think it's an effective strategy, because it gives Seth Rogen the opportunity to focus on
tricky process
materializing the one role, and then jump to another. It's like making two movies in one.
Frame that we've set, the exact lighting,
that stand-in does not... It's not fooling me. I know they tried.
UV marker on the floor, so we can come back and find all these...
At least they got the mocap dots on, so they got the general framework.
We're putting
nails, but it's clearly not Seth Rogen.
Places where we've been around the city. Anything that we can do to come back to the same places, we're going to these extreme, levels of detail.
Cool, man. It's a cab. It's gonna take us back to my apartment.
Oh yeah, crawl it. There you go. You got it.
We are shooting the first big sequence between Ben and Herschel.
This is a scene where we kind of see just how drastically different our characters' lives are.
They both come home to Ben's apartment, and we are interweaving them together as elaborately as we can to make it feel like the two of them are actually in the room together.
Hi, I'm Ian Polk, and I'm Seth's acting double.
I needed someone who looked like Seth, someone who could understand and imitate
Well,
his physicality.
it's as close as they could do.
When we're doing these scenes, we can hear the take that they're going to use through the earpiece.
How many pairs?
So did somebody play Ben first?
Oh man, maybe like 7.
So I'm doing all of the emoting, so Seth has someone to act off of.
25
Okay,
cents.
yeah.
It's like normal for this time.
There's a lot of.
Oh, he did do
stuff
Ben.
going
Okay, I was
on
like,
in the scene,
how did it work for
and
Ben then? Did
they're
he?
doing shots where I'm completely removed?
But I guess,
So
well,
when we were filming it, I had
meant,
to
sorry, Herschel.
do the lines with.
like, how would that
Seth
have worked?
on camera.
Like,
And
is
then
Herschel
for
playing
timing
off? But then you'd have to
purposes,
count like
I
the
say
time in terms of give Ben as much time to speak as needed to make it seem like a grand
So
conversation.
then
That'd be
when we
challenging
match
enough.
Both of those shots.
I don't think anybody
together,
could do that, you know,
it's
of
about the
100%
right
perfection. But having a stand-in works.
It's crazy. I don't know how they're gonna figure it all out, but it's gonna be awesome.
Tell me, what is it you do for a job? Let me guess.
Well, obviously they did because you know, they made the film, and I've heard such good things about it.
No. Close. Freelance mobile app developer. What?
It's obviously a very fantastical story, very surreal. At the same time, it's about family and the importance of being able to access where you came from.
See, that's the
The
heart
fact
of the movie,
that
and I think that's
Seth
very
is
beautiful.
playing 2 parts against himself. I want to see this movie more than anything.
This must be very overwhelming for you.
Stop!
It's a lot. It's a little much.
It's a very relatable movie with a real heart to it in terms of the drama as well. You know, I appreciate cleaner comedy as well. Again, Seth Rogen's body of work primarily has been, at least the way I've seen it, raunchy comedies. And I don't tend to watch that. Again, I prefer the more modest stuff. Just because it's more approachable and it's, I don't know, it's less abrasive. This is definitely more up my alley in terms of, if I were to look at a project that I could get a better understanding of Seth Rogen's talents without having to put myself in a position where maybe I'm compromising on my convictions of being like, well, you know, wouldn't want to watch this film ideally. Maybe the film's got something in the way of content besides the raunch. I'm like, well, you know, this is something I want to expose myself to. It's nice to have an avenue to gain that understanding without having to breach that. I would have preferred that maybe rather than long shot. I'd assume this film's actually be a lot more memorable as well. But again, it seems much cleaner. It doesn't seem like it's raunchy at all. It seems like it's a very approachable movie for pretty much the general audience. And it does, as I said, it puts me in a position where I'm like, okay, you know, I can see Seth Rogen's talents on display. I can, you know, talk about one of his achievements. I can refer back to. I'm sure I'll be able to, you know, go into more detail on this when I watch the movie, but I'll be able to refer back to An American Pickle in terms of me having that image in my head of Seth Rogen and not instinctively think about Santa Inc. So this film will hopefully override that. What are your guys' thoughts with An American Pickle? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. I thought it was a very deep documentary, or not documentary, featurette, but it went in depth and it gives, I think, an understanding that you'll probably see played out in the movie, but it's cool to see how at least they filmed it. It's very interesting too. I love seeing all the behind the scenes stuff of how do they make 2 actors work? Yeah, they're literally playing off each other with mocap. Okay. But until we get to look at more from HBO Max, don't forget all the good stuff, like, subscribing, the sharing, and hitting that bell. I'll see you guys at where point that is. For now, thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. Don't forget to love your fellow man. God bless and peace.